reflected, of course, from the body or received by transmission from the body. 25 volts, 50 volts, 100 volts, 250 volts. We have been able to get signatures of that size. And basically I was very interested in that, and I created a theoretical model that what happens when a healer is projecting healing to someone, that at some place in the body there is a site where the action occurs to bring about this transmission of energy. And when I looked at Elmer's data, he had 5 pieces of experimental data. He had the voltage on the ear, and he had voltage on 4 walls. 1 up front, 1 behind, 1 above, 1 below. So 5 equations and 5 unknowns should solve, and so I solved those equations, and I found that for this particular healer, the source, the primary source, was the Dantian point, just below the belly button.
Is our bioconsciousness likened to a living computer system, having its own power supply, memory, feelings, and the ability to transmit information?
Well, imagine that you yourself have been designed, evolved, to be the most positively brilliant quantum-level computer processor, solution generator, ever evolved, designed, devised on planet Earth. The huge problem is that over the course of us growing up, most of us have taken on a whole series of computer viruses. So imagine that within yourself you might have as many as 100 major viruses, which are clogging the ability of that computer to function at its most brilliant levels. But on the other hand, imagine if you could learn to clear that processor to the point where it would begin to totally hum, in tune with the quantum field, at such a level of openness and vibratory awareness that it would actually begin to function at the level that it was truly designed to function at.
What we found is that the frequencies in that field, the electromagnetic energy and the frequencies that are in the radiation from the heart, actually change depending upon what we are feeling. Our emotional state influences changes in that electromagnetic signature. For instance, if we're feeling a strong negative emotion like anger or frustration, it creates what researchers call an incoherent spectra in that electromagnetic field. Lots of different frequencies fighting for power. The pattern looks very jagged and irregular, kind of like you'd see if you were looking at a pattern of an earthquake. And we see that kind of electromagnetic signature again when people are feeling these negative emotions. The good news is that we see a completely different kind of feel when people are feeling positive emotions. You know, really heart-based emotions, emotions that have long been metaphorically associated with heart. For instance, if we're feeling real genuine appreciation or sincere care or real compassion, what we see in that field is what's called a harmonic spectra. The frequencies are now working together. They create what's called a harmonic sequence. They're not fighting for power, they're supporting one another. And all of these changes occur because of what we do as human beings. The emotional qualities that we are bringing to life affect that field. Now you take that a step further. The field surrounds us in 360 degrees. We're broadcasting that energy, first of all, to our own bodies, but we're also sending it out into space. So in a sense, we are communicating our emotions through an electromagnetic field produced by the heart. So there's a lot more research to be done on this because now we've moved beyond biology into physics. Now we're into electromagnetic fields. How do these fields affect one another? How do they affect each other? These are all interesting questions that we have ongoing research to come up with definitive answers for. And I think it's just the beginning. I think that what we're measuring is some of the densest energy produced by the heart, and that there's another subtle energy component of heart that's far more powerful, far more interesting, and that radiates far beyond just a few feet. And all that will be discovered in the next few years.
Of all the energy centers of the body, the heart center produces the strongest signal. With heart disease being the world's #1 cause of death, and the heart center being the main broadcast power center of the body, We have to nurture and respect it as if our lives depend on it. If we intend to send out a signal to attract a response, and our central power source is damaged, we will be sending out a weak signal. And the question is, do the magnetic laws of attraction hear a weak signal? Well, we are living at one location on the earth, and the people we want to meet may be in another. How can we communicate with our future soul matches through the field?
Well, the most important thing is doing soul work, meaning putting your soul into the conscious field where your soulmate soul can find yours. And that doesn't have to do with outward things so much as it has to do with accessing your soul. And a lot of us, that can be confusing because we may think our emotions are our soul, but usually our emotions are tied into, past issues and psychological triggers. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about nurturing your soul in some way on a daily basis, or bringing it out, finding ways that will trigger it so that it expands outside of your aura and into the conscious field where you would have other souls, and that creates a line of communication or a signal so that the other soul, when they're in that field as well, will recognize you, and then ultimately you'll meet physically. But in order to meet your soul mate, we are talking about a spiritual soul bond. We're not talking about bonding on a personality level or a cultural, social, or religious level. It's all about the soul bond. So you need to be doing soul work on a regular basis to bring that intention out there.
The field is the sole governing agency of the particle. What he meant by that is the field, the invisible forces, are the sole governing agency of the particle, matter. So it says human beings as physical matter are actually governed and shaped by the field. And this is what we're beginning to learn. Reading the field is very important for our survival.
The human body has an aura of electromagnetic light energy that radiates far beyond the boundaries of our physical body. Doing another simple experiment with our radio antenna, we can see that a weak or static radio station comes in more clearly just as our hand comes near the antenna without even touching it.
Arizona Senate Democrats pleased that President Barack Obama will be in Phoenix next week to speak about the economic stimulus plan. Minority Leader Jorge Garcia of Tucson says the emergency funds will hopefully offset spending cuts that the Republican-controlled legislature are imposing to balance the state budget.
It would put a lot more money into Arizona's economy.
This is simple scientific proof that our field is interacting with the field of the radio waves at a distance. Our consciousness transmits information into the field, but how powerful are our thoughts and feelings?
It's important to clear your field so that you are creating a very intentional signal. By that, one of the things is not dating or having flings, not holding on to semi-relationships that have your foot in, one foot in and 1 foot out. You want to clear all of that because that will actually create confusion in the line of communication. It'll make it like static. And it will also bring people around you that can misguide you, or you may think that they're the ones, but it'll be confusing you because you're sending mixed messages. So they may be partially what you want, but they're not in fact your true soulmate because you're sending out mixed messages about what you want. So it's vital to clear your space on that level. If you're looking for an intimate soulmate relationship, totally clear that space and make it open and available to actually find the true soulmate that you're looking for.
As all 7 of our body's energy centers send out living light waves of different frequencies and amplitudes, they are also sending out our personal information. This means our inner spiritual architecture represents a personal signature of our knowledge, experiences, desires, feelings, true intentions, and deepest thoughts. This signature will be met with a response, whether we are conscious of it or not.
One of the ways to understand the mystery of attraction, the mystery of what pulls some people together, why one woman will turn a man on and that same woman will not turn another man